Hey guys, MotorCarNut here, and today we're continuing with part 2 of the cylinder head installation on 2008 and up Toyota 2.5 liter. This is happens to be a 2009 RAV4. It's in the Camry, it's in the Venza, it's in the Scion TC, 2.5 liter. Engine code is 2AR-FE. Okay, so you want to watch the removal video, you go ahead and check that out on my channel. And now, first thing we're going to do is, if you haven't already done, just make sure that you prepare your surface on the head, on the cylinder block. The way I said, check for straightness, clean it off. I have all videos on how to do that. When you install the gasket, do not put any kind of a sealer. Same thing with the head. Whatever you have done to your head, you have a new head or whatever you're doing, just make sure it's nice and flat, clean, okay? And what we're going to do, I installed the intake manifold because I took it off that way. It's just easy instead of stretching over. It comes off, it clears the head, the block, no problem. So first thing we're doing, make sure you have clean hands. You put the head gasket on. It only goes on one way. It has dowels here. Take this out. All right. Clips in the dowels. Make sure it's in nice, and make sure all your oil holes, everything is lined up, because it could go the opposite way on some vehicles. But this one, it's obvious. This is the way it goes. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to get the head in, and you don't want to like scrape it on and let it sit. You want to pretty much judge it, or maybe get two guys to help you and pretty much put it on in one shot on its dowels. Okay, you don't want to scratch it and, and smear it around. You can scratch the material on the gasket. Oh, and a side note, when I took the head off, I removed the knock sensor here, and it was all connected to the intake manifold. Don't do it that way. What you do is hook the knock sensor up with the harness. Here's the harness right here. Just keep it off to the side, and when you put the head on, it's easier because you don't want to play around moving it back and forth while you're trying to get that bolt. Okay, because once the cylinder head on, the intake manifold blocks this. Okay, so leave the harness. Do it this way. Tighten it up first, leave it off to the side, and when you put the cylinder head on, you can just connect the harness. When you install the gasket, you normally don't put a sealer, but Toyota wants you to put a little sealer. You see over here, this flat part, I would say about 1/4 of an inch in, a little bit of sealer on the top and on the bottom on both sides, okay? Then you put it on. All right, so I guess when the cylinder head is on, there's like a little gap here. So I guess they just wanted to make sure it's nice and sealed, don't leak or whatever. But, me personally, I don't see where it could leak. But that's what they want, so that's what you put on. Like so. There and on the bottom. Toyota recommends that you could use the bolts if they're not stretched. You know what? They're only about $35, $40. Use brand new ones. And you're going to oil the heads right here on all of them, and a slight little oil on the threads. That's what they want. Make sure you install the washers. And we're going to torque them down, and I'm going to show you the sequence. Okay, so now we're going to do the tightening sequence. Now you look here. It's going to be 1, and it's going to be 2. Then it's going to be 3. Then it's going to be 4. Then it's going to be 5. Then it's going to be 6. Then it's going to be 7. Then it's going to be 8. And it's going to be 9. And then last is 10. All right, you get your spline drive, 12. It's a 12, and you're going to use a torque wrench, all right? And now what you're going to do in the sequence, we're going to do the sequence 4 times. It's going to be 27 foot-pounds first, okay, in the sequence I just showed you. Then it's going to be 27 again. You figure, oh, it's the same torque. Yeah, because it settles a little and they want to make sure that each one is 27. So once you do it 27 once, the second time you may not have to do it, or you may have to adjust it a little bit until it's 27. That will be the second sequence. Now after that, we're going to do 90 degrees. So assume this is tightening it. All right, that's 90 right there, straight. That's 90. Okay? You tighten them all up. Again, same thing, all sequence up in 10, up until the 10th one. Then you come around again, assuming that this is tight, an additional 90 degrees. Okay? All 10 of them. And then you're properly torqued. And that sealant they wanted you to put, I guess, maybe there would have been a little gap here. And when you put the, the cover on, maybe it would leak. I don't know. But anyhow, just clean it off where you're going to put your timing cover. All right, just clean that little bit off before it dries on both sides. Okay, so now what we're going to do is install the lifters. Make sure they're all over here. Make sure you put them exactly where you took them off. And more importantly is the valve stem caps. These are shims. They don't just go anywhere. All right, they have all different sizes. Hopefully you put them in order like I told you to do. Okay, that's that. And you can come around in here, in the back over here, and you have this hose. This hose goes over here, and you connect this hose there. Really not in the way. Okay, so now we're going to put the cam bridge. All right, this is the bottom side of the cam bridge. You put, you don't have to use their sealer unless you have their sealer. You can use this Permatex Ultra Black gasket maker. It's fine, great. All right, so what you do is you put it on the outskirts. Be careful over here. Don't put too much that it's gonna, when you tighten it down, it's gonna squish out and block the oil passages over here. All right, so you put the bead from here. You go all the way around on the inside. Don't go over here. Okay, inside, or you could just do on both sides. All right, and you go around here, around here, around here, around here, all the way around here, and come out that way. You don't put nothing in the middle. Okay, and then you're gonna tighten down the 10 bolts, 20 foot-pounds. So that's what we're gonna do now, like so. See that? And over here, I put a little bit less, so when it does squeeze out, it won't go into the oil passages over there. And those are the bolts. You see them all sticking up? There's 10 of them. Put those in first. Like I said, 20 foot-pounds. And like anything else, inside out, you don't have to go crazy with the pattern, but it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. Cross from inside, spread out. Okay, and after that, we put the roller rockers on. And now we're going to put the cams on, and then the bridges, the cam caps. Okay, so now you put the cams in. Make sure you lube them up. Okay, and there's going to be a line. I highlighted the line, not the thicker line. And the same thing on this one. The thinner line, the thicker one is that way. And what you do is you look. See, when you turn it, it wants to jump up. So basically, try to keep it at its minimum lift. All right, same thing with this one. So if you turn it, it's going to jump up. You just want to keep it at its minimum. And you should end up like that. And this way you can put the caps on, the same thing with the caps. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go from inside out. 12 foot-pounds. All right? And make sure that the rockers and everything, they didn't jump off where they go before you tighten them down. Okay, so the cam caps, if you notice, they have a 12 millimeter and a 10 millimeter. All right, now you have to torque them you torque the 12 millimeters first. Like you go 1, 2, 3, 4. You crisscross, in on the way out. All right, let's say if this was 1 and that was 2, or if that was 1 and that's 2, it doesn't make a difference. As long as you tighten, you start in the middle and you work your way out. Okay, so the caps have a 10 millimeter and a 12. So the 12s you do, like I just told you, in a sequence first, 20 foot-pounds, and then you do the 10s. Same sequences, 12 foot-pounds. Okay? Now the last cap I have it off over here. Don't forget, it has a filter for the variable valve timing. Okay? And this one goes in here. It goes right like that in there. And that's the number 1 cap right there, and there's the oil hole for it. So don't forget this, or make sure it's clean. Okay? So I just quick tip on that. And once you tighten all the bearing caps down, just verify that they're not binding the cams. You just move them a little bit. Say they want to move back, nice. And this one, all right, they're not binding. And put it, you see over here where it has a hex. Don't put it on the cam lobes. All right, it has these hex here for that reason. Okay. Now after this, what you're going to want to do is put about 50 cc's of oil in over here and let it go and circulate through all the valve lashes. Well, just, it primes it. If you don't do that, it can make a lot of noise, or when you first start it up, and it can take a while and it could wear them out. So Toyota wants you to put oil in here, they say about 50 cc. Just put it until it comes out. All right. Here and here, same way. Make sure everything else is oiled properly. Like all the cams, the lobes, the lifters. You want it all really. You don't want nothing dry when you first start it. Okay, we're gonna put the timing chain on now. This is the timing chain tensioner. Make sure you put on a new gasket. This is the old one. All right, and what you do over here is you hold this little lever, you hold it out while you push the piston in, and then put something in there. Put a little drill bit so it doesn't keep it from popping out, so you can install it. All right, we're gonna go on top. I'll show you the timing marks on the top right now we're on the bottom. Now the timing marks on the bottom, all right, there's a little dot right there on the crank, and then I highlighted on that tooth. All right, and then this one goes like this. Okay, and up there, right here is where you put the tensioner. But also you have to put the guide rails on. All right, they're easy to do. You just move the slack of the chain, just slide the guide rails in there, 12 millimeters. Don't tighten them, just hand tight. Same thing with this one over here. Right here. All right, I'm gonna install the timing chain tension, and I'll show you the marks on the top. Okay, and this is what it looks like installed. And you tighten those bolts to 85 inch-pounds, about 7 foot-pounds, but inch-pounds is more accurate. 85 inch-pounds. These bolts to 12 millimeter, do them to 20 foot-pounds. All right, now here's the mark. All right, I don't want you to get mixed up. There's another round mark over here somewhere on this thing. Don't go by that. It has to be this one. All right, the one on the crank right here. And that's the color link right there. All right, now I'm gonna show you the top. So, and this is what they look like on the top. Yellow goes to this line, again, not to the thicker line. All right, to the thinner line. You really can't mess them up. All right, so you got 1, 2, and the one on the bottom. And then you put this on over here. Torque that down to 20 foot-pounds. Okay, and then we're gonna get ready to put the timing cover on. That's probably gonna be the trickiest one, only because when you have all the silicone on the timing cover and putting it up, you're gonna hit something. So he's got to do a couple of dry trials to see how you're gonna do it to get it on. All right, so now we're gonna do the fun part, installing the timing cover in the car. It's not that hard, but you just got to be careful with when you put the silicone on there, like I was talking before. All right, if you want to stop, this is all the bolts. All right, wherever they are on the table like this, that's where they go, the same lengths and everything over here. This is part of it, it goes there. You have a nut up here that goes on the top one. So I'm going to go like this so you can get an idea which bolts are where. All right, the way I laid them out is the way they go on here. All right, hope that makes sense. I can get it like that, and you can stop it if you want to. All right. It's good to replace the main seal, the front main seal. Okay, and when you put it on, there's a little flat spot over here that turns the oil pump. We have to line that up. And then what you want to do in the car is make sure all the gasket sealer, all the surfaces, all the way around to the top is nice and clean, dry with no oil. Okay, and then we're gonna snake it up to the bottom. You're gonna take if you have a crank bolt on there, take that bolt out, because we're gonna slide it up and put it on. And like I said, you don't want to hit nothing with the gasket maker, because it'll go all over the place or create a leak. So what you could do, if you want, is put a thin coating with your finger, a thin coating all the way around. Okay. So you know that won't be touched. So when you put the cover on, if there's a little piece that maybe a little piece that comes off, when you mount it, at least you'll have the sealer that's on the block and head, all right, to make that good seal. Hope that makes sense. And then here, same thing. When you go inside any kind of a bolt hole, you go on the inside. Inside. Not this one. Okay, inside, it's all inside. Okay, all the way around. You have to clean all of that up. And now, before you put the cover on, make sure you replace these 3 new O-rings. Okay, they go on the bottom. I'll show you that later. They go right here, basically one here, one there, one there on the block. Make sure it's all clean. And again, with the sealant, you go all the way around on the inside. Don't go on the outside. Go on the inside, because you go on the outside, oil can come and go through the bolt. Okay? And then we're going to snake it up to the bottom and put all the bolts on. Now, there's a torque sequence to the bolts. You know, I'll give it to you if you want to. What you do is you make them tight. Okay? You don't want to strip them. You tighten them all down. It's not that critical. All right? If you want to do torque specs with a torque gun and stay there for 2 hours, you can do that. All right? But as long as they're tight and they're not stripped, you'll be good. And also, you have to mount this too as well, because this is part of the timing cover, and you don't want the silicone to dry, and then you tighten that down and it can, you know, create a leak. So they want this installed maximum 10 minutes after you install the whole timing cover with all the bolts. So once you do that, then we can take the next step. So again, don't forget to replace these 3 O-rings. They're kind of friction fit. If you look in it, they have little tabs. Those little tabs hold it in place, so when you put the cover on, they don't fall off. These are very important. You'll have no oil pressure. You have to take the cover off again. All right. And again, what I said is try to do a dry fit. And if you notice over here, you see it has flat sides. All right. And in the oil pump housing, it has to be that way too, so it slides in. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be fighting it, and you know you have the gasket maker all over the place. So, and what I said before, do a couple of dry fits first, make sure it goes on, and put a little extra silicone on the block itself all the way around. This way, if you do scrape the timing cover a little bit, at least you have it on the block or the head, and it won't leak. All right, so that's what I'm going to do now, like so. You see? Put it all on the outside. And all on the block and the head, just in case, like I said before. If you scrape it or whatever, at least it won't leak. And what I wanted to show you is the teeth in here. They have a flat spot on both sides, so it slides onto the crank, like I explained before. Okay, here's the torque specs and sequence for the timing chain cover. You may want to pause that, take a photo of it. Okay. And now, I'll go to the car. Let me show you what I did. All right. So now, it's on. Don't forget to put the crank sensor in there, 10 millimeter. And what I did is the Serpentine tensioner. That's a it's a 12 millimeter. You torque it down to 35 foot-pounds. And this is where we are now. I'm gonna put the crank pulley on with the bolt. The bolt gets torqued to 150 foot-pounds of torque, okay? And from there, you could put the Serpentine belt on if you want. And then we're gonna go back up top. And now the Serpentine belt is on. And let me show you the diagram. Okay, you got the crank, the bottom's the AC, the water pump, the alternator on the top, and the tensioner right there. And that's basically how it goes, okay? So what you do is you put the tensioner, you tighten it, you push it to the, like clockwise to bring it all the way out, and just leave the AC off so you can slip it on the AC. That's what I did. It's a little tight, but it goes on. Okay, so after that, I put the mount on. You know how to put the mount on, same way you took it off. You have 17 millimeter here, 17 millimeter there. Here's a nut, a bolt, and on the bottom, don't forget this one, that's a 14 millimeter, get it from the bottom. Or if you want to get it with a ratchet on the top, you can do that. Now we're going to put the valve cover on, and you can't forget these little O-rings. All right, you got two of them. They go here, and an O-ring over here. Make sure you use new ones. And if you have a head gasket kit, it's going to come with the spark plug grommets here, new ones. You could put those in. You just put a screwdriver underneath there and pop them up. All right. And then over here, new gasket. All right. Make sure these areas are nice and clean. Here, and here. All right. And my kit came with little washers. These are double sealed washers. You see that has a little O-ring built in on both sides for all three. All right. You have 1, 2, and 3. Okay. You clean up all the surfaces, and over here, just make sure this is clean. And put a little bit of gasket maker. Once you clean it, put a little gasket maker there and on the other side, so it creates a nice, good seal. Okay, and don't forget the 10 millimeter bolts. You tighten them like this, in, out, just like everything else. 100 inch-pounds. Okay, then you put your spark plugs in and your coils. Those are 89 inch-pounds if you want to do it, or just tighten them nice. Okay. I put the cap back on, and now what we're going to do, we're going to take the electrical harnesses and fold them over the engine. You know, make sure you see where they go, and we're going to start connecting up the connectors and take it from there. Okay, so it's very easy. Once you fold everything over, all the connectors are pretty much bent where they go. You know what I mean? They're bent. You can't really mess it up. Okay? Just make sure you put everything back to where it belongs. A little bit. All right. There's coolant hoses here. Just make sure they're hooked up. When you put the fuel line back on, all right, pull it. Make sure it doesn't come out, and then put that little safety black clip on here, like so, and give it a nice tug. Make sure it's not, you know, leaking or nothing like that. In the back, whatever you took off, you put on the same way. And what else? I mean, the harness itself, you know, it's self-explanatory once you lay it down. Make sure you get all your fuel injection in the back. Okay, and the wires that go down to the crank sensor, hook those up. Okay, what else did I do? I installed this hose right here. All right, you have the two heater core hoses here. One goes here and one goes there. All right, make sure you put all these, the clamps back. All right. And this goes to something else. All right, so we'll see where that goes. And what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna put the exhaust on, new exhaust gasket. You know how that goes. You have your 5, 2, 4, 5 over there on the bottom, those two over there, and where it mounts to the block. Self-explanatory, here we go. You know what I'm saying? These two that mount to the block. You can put a new gasket on if you want. Like I said before, if it's okay and it's not really distorted. See, this one is not bad. You know, it wasn't leaking. You can clean it up, put it right back on. But my kit came with one, so I'm going to use the new one. But you have to use a new exhaust manifold gasket, like I said. Oh, that clip is for this. The one that goes... this one. All right, so that's what I'm going to do next. And like I said before, don't forget the crank sensor and any kind of harnesses and plugs. And when you come all the way under the car, in the back, on the top, there's also over there, don't forget to plug those in. And we'll be good to go. Put the exhaust flanges back. And we're going to continue. Okay, we're back on top. Now, 10 millimeters, 3 of them. Install the airbox. Okay, make sure you clip on the harnesses over there like that. Put the air filter. And over here, we just have electrical connection here and here. Hose here and here and here. I'm going to show you how I do that. One of the hoses goes right here. The other one right here. And the other one was this one right here that connects to that hose right there. And this, self-explanatory. So that. And it goes to the connectors, all the electrical connections right there. Okay, almost completed. So I installed the battery and I'm keeping it on a charge depending when you're doing. It was another note. When you do the timing cover, they say don't run the engine for 4 hours. In other words, like if you did it really fast and you're done in 2 hours, they don't want you to run the engine until 4 hours, probably because, there's oil passages in there and it can blow out the seal or whatever. And, blow out the gasket maker that you put in there or whatever it is. So that's just a note. That's not a problem with this because I've been doing other cars, so this one's been sitting. Anyway, I'm charging the battery, because when you start the car, you want a nice fresh battery, give it a nice fresh voltage and everything. What I'm going to do after this is I'm going to fill up the fluids. I'm going to put the top off the coolant. Obviously change the oil and filter, and then we're going to fire it up. Okay, so now we're going to get in the car. And well, that was kind of fast. You may get a check engine light like I have right here. Let's just make sure the car. Okay, and the reason for that could be a couple of things. If you had a check engine light before, or like when you first started, the oil has to get up into the variable valve timing. All right. And it may give you cam codes just for that split second. What you do is you let it warm up to operating temperature. Okay. And then make sure there's no engine leaks. Make sure there's no oil leaks, anything underneath. And then shut it off. If you have a scan tool, or disconnect the battery for about 5 minutes, the negative terminal, and then reconnect it, start it up, and if the engine doesn't have any codes related to what you did, you should be good to go. Okay? And that's it. And you may get smoke out the back, especially if you had a head gasket that was blowing a lot of coolant through the exhaust. This one doesn't really have that much. A little bit. So you want to worry about, that should clear up within a half an hour or 15 minutes of driving the car. So don't worry about that. Okay? If you've done the head gasket properly, like I told you. All right, guys. So that's how you do it. MotorCarNut. Please subscribe. Hit that like button. You learned something. I'd appreciate a super thanks. It takes a lot of time to do these videos while I'm recording them. But I love to hear the comments and the feedback and help people. And that's what the channel's all about. I'll see you guys in the next one. And thank you very much for all your comments, feedback, and support. Thank you.